What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma if you're new here, and I love to talk about all things Peloton cycling and fitness. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I post every single Sunday, and today's video is another fun one. Peloton has recently released 2 new split training programs, and I just did Andy's 3-day advanced split. I absolutely loved it, so now that's the one to beat. But in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Rebecca's intermediate 5-day split. The description is: maximize your workouts by split training with Rebecca. Increase strength and build muscle in this 1-week program by using heavier weight and targeting specific areas of the body in each workout. Repeat and track your progress. And the instructor is Rebecca Kennedy. You need light, medium, heavy weights and a workout mat. I'm not usually a huge fan of the 5-day split programs. I typically like the 3-day. I feel like 3 days of really good strength is ideal for me in a week, but maybe Rebecca will change my mind. It is a Sunday morning and we're just gonna get right on into day 1, class 1, which is a 30-minute chest and triceps class. The description is: join us for a hard-hitting push and pull upper body split focus on strengthening your chest and triceps. I do like a good chest workout. Jury's still out on the tricep workouts, but we will see how this goes. I do think it's a little interesting that it's push and pull day. I feel like a lot of split programs usually do a full day dedicated to push and a full day dedicated to pull. So I'm interested to see what Rebecca brings me today. So let's go hit the mat and knock out class 1. I really enjoyed that class, and Rebecca's not usually my favorite strength instructor. I don't dislike her, but I usually find her workouts pretty middle of the pack for me. But I just love the way that this was structured. I feel like it was unique. I haven't done a split structured like this before, and I'm really excited to see how the rest of the week goes. So essentially what we did was push weight really hard, which you typically do in splits, but then we'd have a lot of recovery. So after a 2-minute quick bodyweight warm-up, we got right on into it and we did 10 chest presses with heavy weights and then had a minute rest. And we did that set 4 times, so you could definitely feel the burnout at the end. But I feel like with the 1-minute rest, you had no reason to not get in 10 amazing chest presses. I used 20 pounds for them, and that is the typical push weight I would use. But I just feel since this was all we were doing, I could really focus on not having my ribs flare, keeping my back straight. The form was really good. And I could also feel it working. Towards the end, I was really feeling burnout even with that much recovery. And that was basically the structure of the rest of the class. So after we did 4 sets of 10 chest presses, then we did 4 sets of 10 chest flies. I went down to my medium weights, which is 15 pounds. That's also my typical chest fly push weight, but that is quite a push for me. It was very hard, but with the 1-minute recovery, it felt manageable. It felt like I was pushing myself a lot, but I wasn't ever feeling like the moves were impossible. Then we got into 2 combo sets at the end. So the first one was a crush press. So you're pushing the weights together and lifting up. I stayed with heavies, so 20 pounds in each arm. And we did 12 of those. Then we went on our knees and arms in a tabletop position, and we did tricep kickbacks with 1 arm at a time. I did medium weights, so 15 pounds. This was a huge push for me. I can't remember the last time I've tried tricep kickbacks with 15 pounds. I typically do 10, but I figured since it was only on one side and we got so much recovery that now was the time to push. And I did it, but man, was it hard. So we did 12 on one side, 12 on the other side, and then we had a minute rest. Between the crush press and the tricep kickbacks, we had a 20-second rest, but between switching sides on the tricep kickbacks, we had no rest. So definitely amping it up a little bit harder, but the 1 minute rest between the repeats of the set definitely like gave you time to recover. And we did that set 3 times. And then we went into probably the hardest set. I think it's mostly because it was just at the end, but we did skull crushers, 10 of those, and then 10 push-ups. And I originally did 15 pounds for the skull crushers, which was kind of doable, but then I was just like so dead for the push-ups. Like I was already doing them on my knees, but I was just completely dying. And we did this set 3 times. So the second and third time I went down to 10 pounds on the skull crushers, which was a little bit lighter, but I needed it. Otherwise I was just like going to completely die. If I had 12.5 pounds, I think that would have been like the perfect compromise weight, but alas, we had the 10 pounds. It still felt hard because it was at the end. So that was it for today. We really didn't do that many moves. Like Rebecca's like, if you think about it, we've only done 6 moves, which is true, but we were really pushing ourselves on those moves. And I just usually don't like super long recovery, but I feel like a minute was perfect and it like set me up to have really, really good sets. So I'm very excited for the rest of the week now. If they're all structured like today, I think we're in for a good week, but a hard week. I really like simple moves, but then like amping it up with weight. So I'm very excited for this split. Difficulty today, I would give like a 9 out of 10. I was really pushing myself. It was difficult. Enjoyability, also 9 out of 10. I love when I'm like pushing myself, but getting enough recovery. It felt like reasonable, but also hard at the same time, which is just the perfect balance for me. So really happy with how we're starting off the split. It's now the next day. It is Monday morning and we're gonna kick off the week with day 2, class 2 of the split, which is a 30-minute legs and core day. The description is, this split workout focuses on strengthening your largest muscles while also improving core and lower back stability. And I'm excited. I don't love core, but I do love legs. And I loved yesterday's class, so I'm feeling good about today. Let's start off this Monday morning by hitting the mat and knocking out class 2. I liked that class, but I didn't love it as much as yesterday's class. This one wasn't structured exactly the same, so I still thought it was a good layout. But I don't know, I just feel like yesterday's class was special. So we started off today and had a long warm-up. It was 7 minutes, all body weight. But I actually liked it. I feel like we got some good moves in. We did some plank work, some clamshells, really woke up the core and glutes, and then also did like typical lunges. So I felt very good to go and I went in cold to this. So it was a nice warm up. It was welcome before we really got into it. So we started off and we had kind of similarly to yesterday, but less recovery. It was a 6-minute EMOM where we were doing 10 cleans on like one side and then we would alternate to the other side. So having the weight on the ground, picking it up and then shooting it up and racking it. And I like this move. I started using a 15-pound weight, but then switched to 20 pounds for the last 5 rounds. I should have just started at the 20-pound. That was definitely the right weight. It felt good. You're mostly supposed to be using like your glutes and core for this. This kind of is like deadlift vibes in my opinion, and I like deadlifts, so I like this move. And you still had a decent amount of recovery. I could usually do the 10 in like 30 to 40 seconds. It was definitely a good way to kind of get into the class. Like you were working right away. Rebecca was like, we're gonna do the technically harder moves first and then like get simpler as we go. And I don't think that move is like super complicated to start with. So really no complaints, good EMOM, we got into it. Then we kind of got into a more basic set. It was interesting though, I don't think I've ever done this move. We used medium weights and we just racked like one above us, held it above with a straight arm, had the other one at our side, and then like walked in a circle. That was definitely interesting. She's like, this is working your core because anytime you're holding a weight above your head, you're working your core. I don't know how much I felt it. I feel like 15 pounds was the right weight, but I don't know. It was just kind of an interesting move. We did that for 30 seconds and then with no rest, we lowered the side that we were holding up and went into a split squat where we just held it. And man, oh man, those are hard. Watching back the video of me like doing it, I need to work on my form on those, but you know, it felt hard in the moment. 30 seconds of that, and then we got 15 seconds recovery to get on the floor and do a forearm plank, where then we lifted each foot. So essentially we're doing like a 3-point plank, and we like alternated which foot we were lifting. We held it only for a couple seconds on each side. I felt like that was pretty easy, especially because this was like the first big like core move. I guess the like walking around with the hands up was also core, but this is like the first move that I really felt like I was working my core, and I didn't think that it was bad. We did that set twice, and then we went into some single leg deadlifts, which I love deadlifts, no complaints. I did think it was hard though. Stayed on my medium weights. We did one side for 40 seconds, then we did the other side for 40 seconds. Then we had a 10-second rest to pretty much just drop the weights, and then we did a broad jump where you're essentially like at the end of your mat, you jump forward, you kind of land in a squat, you stand up, and then you like backpedal, and you do that again and again. I'm just okay with the jumps. I'm just not a huge jumping person. I feel like it's mostly cardio. I don't know how much I get out of it. It was unweighted. I wouldn't want it to be weighted, but I just feel like that was kind of a throwaway move. It does get the heart rate up though. And we did that set twice. And then we just finished off with a 1.5-minute AMRAP where we did 10 bicycles and then 10 mountain climbers, and just kept repeating that until the end of class. Overall, I did enjoy this class, especially for something that is core focused. I don't love core, but I feel like the core moves she did like work in felt natural, weren't like super hard, weren't complicated. Like I could do them, it felt good. And I did like the leg moves as well. I, like deadlifts, I like the clean. Really, those are like leg core moves, but I do enjoy them. So overall, it was a good class. She did mention we're doing legs again tomorrow, but I imagine that is going to be more squat focused, while this was more kind of glute core focused. So overall, not a bad day. Difficulty, I would give maybe like a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. Maybe I should have been pushing the weight a little bit harder, but I also don't feel like we got that much recovery that I felt comfortable pushing the weight, and like it was hard in the moment. Enjoyability, I also give it like a 6.5 to 7 out of 10. It wasn't bad. I would take it again, but it wasn't like amazing. I just feel like coming off of yesterday, I really, really liked pushing weight like as hard as I could and having a lot of recovery, versus this class that was definitely more similar to split programs I've taken in the past. But not a bad thing, still enjoyed it, still a good class too, and I'm excited to continue the split. It is now Tuesday morning, it's the next day, and today is our final day before we get a rest day tomorrow. So no excuse to not go hard. Today is class 3, which is a 30-minute legs and biceps class. The description is target your upper and lower body with this hard-hitting split workout focused on strengthening your legs and biceps. And I like legs. I don't know if there's going to be a lot of squats. I'm a little afraid. And I like biceps, so I think that it should be a fun class. So let's hit the gym and knock out class 3. I really like that class. I do like legs and biceps, so it was just destined to be a good class for me. But I also feel it catching up to me that this is my 3rd day in a row that I'm like kind of trying to push weight aggressively on strength. So I'm definitely ready for my recovery day tomorrow, but today's class was still really good. We started off with a 3-minute body weight warm-up, and then we got right on into it. This class was structured more similarly to the first day's class, which I liked more, so that was good. We started off and we were doing 10 deadlifts and then had a minute of recovery. I really pushed weight for these deadlifts. I did 25-pound dumbbells in each hand, so 50 pounds total. And it felt good. Honestly, I wonder if I could have pushed up to 30 pounds, but I was like, I don't know if it's going to catch up to me. Towards the end, it was semi-catching up to me, but it felt really good. I love deadlifts. I love that set. Then we went into 10 squats, weighted, and she really encouraged us to keep the 25-pound or the same weight that you were doing for the deadlifts. But I went down to 20, and I think that was the right move. Even 20-pound squats is pretty difficult for me. So, I could really feel it, especially in the last couple of reps. And it wasn't like I was finishing with like a bunch of extra time or anything. This was structured the same as deadlifts, where we did 10 and then had a minute recovery. And we did each of those 4 times. So that was already a big chunk of the class, really getting a lot of leg action right at the beginning. After that, we went into more like supersets, which I like just doing the one move more, but I do understand like the benefit of doing more moves. And we started working the biceps. So first we did concentrated curls on both sides. We wanted to get 10 reps in. So we were kneeling and then like had our arm down and did the reps. I used my medium weights, which is what she said to use. So 15 pounds. It was only on one side. So I was thinking that 15 pounds might be easy, but I don't know. It didn't feel easy. I don't know why. It felt harder than normal for me. 15 pounds for a bicep curl is not usually that hard for me, or like it's what I usually do, but I could definitely feel it in this set. So we did 10 on one side and then 10 immediately on the other side, had a 20-second rest, and then did 45 seconds of reverse lunges, which was also supposed to be 10 reps. The first time I did it, I used 15 pounds for the reverse lunges, but then the second and third time I bumped up to 20 pounds, and that felt good. I feel like I should have been on 20 pounds the whole time. I feel like sometimes I like push weight way too much, and then sometimes I like don't push it enough. I'm still trying to find that balance, but I'm glad that I could bump up to the 20 pounds. And then our final set was front lunges, but while you were doing front lunges, you were also doing a bicep curl, which I'm usually just okay with like compound movements like this. I like this one more than I thought I would once I started doing it. I feel like there was a lot going on, and obviously I could only do 15 pounds. So if I was doing just front lunges, I probably could have pushed the weight a little bit more. But I can appreciate a full body movement. I didn't mind it. And then after we did that, we got a really short break, like 15 seconds, and went into cross body curls, again with the 15 pounds. We did that set twice. Definitely a push, some bicep burnout at the end. And then in the last 30 seconds, she's like, do split squat jumps, which I'm not a huge fan of those. I'm not gonna lie. I just did backward lunges, body weight, because I just do not like the jumping, but I feel like it was still some good like burnout at the end, get the heart rate up, and then the class was over. This class went by super, super fast in my opinion, and yeah, overall I really liked it. I kind of like that we split the moves more, so like we did a lot of leg focus work at first and then really finished up with more bicep focus work at the end. To me, it felt like the class flowed really well. Like it made sense, the moves that we were doing. It didn't really feel like we were just doing only legs and then only biceps. Like you could see how the moves like went together. So enjoyability, I'd give it like 8 out of 10. I had a good time. I mean, I do love deadlifts, so that was always a good way to put me in a good mood for the class. And difficulty, I'd also give like an 8 out of 10. I feel like I felt the burnout, really got a good workout, and now I am 100% ready for my recovery day tomorrow. It's now a Thursday morning. The week is just flying by. I had a nice break from strength yesterday, but I'm ready to get right back on into it today with class 4, which is a 30-minute backs and biceps class. The description is grab your weights and get ready for this upper body split workout focused on strengthening your back and biceps. And I actually like back and biceps fairly well, so I'm excited for the class. Let's go to the gym and knock out class 4. I definitely like this class. It was also pretty hard. I think it's mostly on me. I was like pushing the weight pretty aggressively, but man, oh man, I was really, really feeling it towards the end. So we did a quick little 4-minute bodyweight warm-up, no complaints there, easy, straightforward. Then we got into it and we started off by doing 10 bent over rows on each side. So we would start on one side, switch to the other side with a heavy weight. I used 20 pounds. We got no break in between the two sides. I believe we had 30 seconds for each side, and then we got a minute break afterwards. So the idea is obviously like go pretty hard because you have a lot of recovery. And that felt good. I could definitely feel the burnout. We did it 4 times. The first like 1 to 2 times wasn't bad. And the third time's like, oh yeah, I'm really starting to feel it. The fourth time is like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy. This is the last set. But I think that that's pretty much like the perfect weight then. Like it should feel hard towards the end. But that was probably the easiest set we did all class. So we were starting off easy and went harder, but the easy was already kind of hard. After that, we grabbed our medium weights, and I actually think this probably was the hardest for me. We did the lat like pullovers, so we're on our back and we are bringing the weight above our head, keeping our arms pretty straight. I have done this move recently. I think I did 20 pounds and that was hard. So with 2 medium weights, 2 15-pound weights, 30 pounds was like a huge push. I was actually like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to go down on weights, but let me try. And we did 8 of those and then 10 crush presses. So crushing the 2 weights together while we're on the back and then like pushing up. And we did 10 of those and that was a 1-minute set. So definitely went really slow on the like lat pull down, pull overs, whatever they're called, and then could go a little bit faster for the crush presses because 15 pounds weights is like pretty good for the crush presses. I could probably push up even a little more, but like there was no time to switch weights. So you had to commit like whatever you're doing for one of them, you were doing for both of them. And yeah, that just like totally burned me out. I think we did that 3 or 4 times. And man, oh man, I could really feel it. Those lat pull downs are like no joke. Then our next set, we were on our knees. We did reverse flies. I did medium weights. That is a push for me, 15 pounds. It felt like pretty good. And then we went right on into Zotman curls and then bicep curls. And those I was completely dying on with my 15-pound weights. We had 30 seconds to do 10 reps of each. And I was not hitting the 10, but I figured I'd rather do like 6 or 7 15-pound weight curls than do 10 10-pound weight curls because I do feel like the 10-pound is like a little bit easy. So I'd rather like push myself a little bit harder. We did that set twice. That was pretty hard. I was feeling the burn. And then we finished off with a set, which I didn't think was as bad. We did this 3 times. We did 5 renegade rows. So 1 on each side was like 1 and then a push-up. I did those on my knees, no shame. And then we went on our knees and did 10 like reverse rows where we had our arms like rotated out. And we did that in 1 minute. Then we had 1 minute recovery and we repeated that. Did that 3 times and then the class was over. I'm pretty proud of what I did today. I feel like I really pushed the weight. The lat pull downs were no joke. The chest flies, I used to not even like attempt to do 15 pounds at those, so it feels good. Even though I know my form could probably be a little bit better, that like I'm getting there. And yeah, it just felt good to like not grab 10-pound weights for any of these moves, even though I wanted to at times. So difficulty today, I'd give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It was pretty difficult. There was like a good amount of recovery though. So it felt like you could push yourself, which I really appreciated. Like at no times I just felt like I should give up. Like I'm like, I know recovery is coming. I just need to like push through till I get it. Enjoyability, I'd also give it like an 8.5 out of 10. These aren't like my absolute favorite moves, but I feel like it was structured well. I really like hit the weight, could push the weight. And yeah, just overall an enjoyable class. It flew by and I'm excited to wrap up this program tomorrow. It is now Friday and you guys know I absolutely love Fridays, but we have a split to wrap up before we can get into the weekend. So today's class is class 5. It is a 30-minute legs and shoulders class. The description is join us on the mat for this upper and lower body split workout focused on strengthening your legs and shoulders. I feel like we kind of have had a lot of leg focused days in this split, but I guess with 5 days you do get to repeat some things. And yeah, I like legs. I'm okay with shoulders. It should be a good day. So let's go to the gym and finish this split. I think that class was a great way to wrap up this split. It was simple, but very effective. It felt good. We got in there, did the work, and got out. So we started off with a 3-minute body weight warm up. That was great. That was fine. We were warm. Then we got into our first main movement, which was dumbbell sumo squat. She said to use heavy. I used 20 pounds. I honestly wonder if I could push up even higher, but the 20 pounds was still a challenge. So we did 10 reps of those with a minute recovery, my favorite setup. And we did that 4 times. It felt good, felt like a good way to get on into it. Then our second move was dumbbell thrusters, and she went down in weight, so I went down in weight. I do think that 15 pounds is probably right. I think 20 pounds would have been very hard. I wasn't finishing early at all with the 15 pounds. So you have the 15 pounds racked, you go into a squat, and then you stand up and thrust up into a shoulder press. And we did that 10 times with a minute of recovery again. Again, no complaints, did it 4 times. I love that kind of setup, felt like I could really get at it. And this class, definitely my heart rate was elevated. I mean, nothing crazy. I think it was in the 130s for a lot of it though, which is pretty high for strength. But that's because we were doing a lot of full body or leg movements. After we finished the dumbbell thrusters, we were into the supersets of the class. Our first one was kickstand deadlifts on both sides. So we did 10 on one side, 10 on the other side. And then we went into overhead presses, but you were supposed to descend slowly. So with 3 seconds to add a little bit of extra tension. And I used 15 pounds. Rebecca said to use medium weights, and I thought that might be a little light for the kickstand deadlifts. But basically, if you are doing them correctly, or you don't have a lot of weight on the kickstand leg, 15 pounds is hard, or your medium weight should be hard. At first, I feel I was putting too much weight on the kickstand, and I was oh, this is a little bit easy. But then Rebecca was make sure that you basically have no weight in your kickstand. And I'm okay, this makes it a lot harder. But those felt good, and I love deadlifts, so really no complaints there. We did that set 3 times, and we had a minute rest in between each of the supersets. And then to finish off, we did lateral raises and then open lateral raises. So instead of going out and having our palms face down, they were face to the front of us. And then we wrapped up the set with a lateral lunge alternating on either side. She's use light weights for the lateral raises. 10 pounds is the right weight for that. And she was the work isn't just holding it at the top, it's the whole thing, which does make sense. So essentially just focus on good form. That felt good. And then she said to bump up to medium weights for the lateral lunges, which also felt good. We did that set twice, and then we finished off with a little 30-second finisher that was jump squats. But she's if you don't want to jump, just go up on your toes. And I'm thank you, Rebecca, because I was going to do that anyways. I do not want to jump, but it was a nice little finisher at the end. I feel those don't really do anything, and it was body weight, but it's still nice to get your heart rate a little bit up at the end. And then the class was over. Difficulty today, I'd give a 7.5 out of 10. I don't think it's the most difficult thing we've done all week, but it was still very enjoyable. Enjoyability, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I feel the class really flowed well today. And we worked both the legs and shoulders well. I like some of the compound movements. And yeah, just went by really quickly. It was a really great way to wrap up the split. And this 5-day split, I think, is my new favorite 5-day split. It's actually the only 5-day split that I've taken that I'm wow, I would actually take this again. I'm usually not a 5-day split girly. I think it's just too much strength, but I really, really like the way that Rebecca structured these classes. I just feel it wasn't ever overwhelming, but I really felt I was hitting the weights, and yeah, I just feel it was a really great split program. I would highly recommend for you to check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. And honestly, Peloton's killing it because the 2 new splits that they released are my 2 new favorite splits. So this was a good release on Peloton's part. So let me know if you've taken this split and what you think. I just feel I was so pleasantly surprised. I'm very, very happy. That is it for this video. I hope you guys are staying safe, having an awesome week, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!